They say a graduation is about closure and ceremony, robes and ribbons, bright lights and loud applause. But that day, something else happened, something no one saw coming. The air inside the auditorium was thick with perfume and pressure, the kind only money and ambition could mix. Parents shifted in their velvet chairs, waiting. Cameras were armed. Names had been practiced, speeches memorized. It was supposed to be perfect, until the microphone died. It happened the moment Sarah Turner, the valedictorian, the girl with straight A's and a straight path to Stanford, stood up to sing. The music started, then fizzled. The mic popped and died. Gasps, confused looks. Someone at the front waved for the tech team. Too late. The room froze. Sarah looked like she might cry. And then, from somewhere in the back, behind the curtain, beyond the rows of caps and gowns, a voice rose. No microphone, no spotlight, just sound, pure, raw, unmistakable. A girl no one expected. She wore no gown. She wasn't seated with the graduating class. She wasn't even supposed to be here. Her name was Lily Harper. She had been expelled 3 weeks ago for unpaid tuition. She had no diploma, no future. Just a voice and a promise to a friend. And that day, in front of an auditorium full of the wealthy and the powerful, she broke the rules. She stood up, and when she sang, the entire room went silent. Even the principal. It wasn't just the music. It wasn't even the lyrics. It was the fact that she kept going. In a moment where everyone else had frozen. She had nothing left to lose, which is exactly why everyone had everything to learn. Long before the spotlight found her, Lily Harper lived in the shadows of the very school that would one day reject her. She and her mother shared a one-bedroom apartment behind the gas station on Maple Street, the kind with rust on the faucet, and chipped linoleum floors that curled like paper in the corners. Her mother worked nights at Wellington Grove Private Elementary as a janitor, cleaning classrooms filled with MacBooks and marble pencil holders, scrubbing bathrooms where little girls wore pearls. It was Lily's voice that first got her noticed. Not in a talent show, not on a stage, but one afternoon, years ago, as she waited for her mother to finish mopping the third-grade wing, Lily hummed a lullaby, something soft, barely audible. A teacher passing by stopped mid-step. The next day, Lily was enrolled, full scholarship. One condition: maintain perfect grades and remain invisible. And she did. For years, she passed through the polished halls, like a ghost, always early, always quiet. She sat in the back row, never raised her hand, never wore brand names, never joined the field trips. Only one person ever really saw her, Sarah Turner, smart, kind, perfect teeth, head of everything. Somehow the richest girl in school and the loneliest, until Lily sat beside her in choir class and whispered, "You're singing flat." They'd been inseparable ever since, but life doesn't care about friendship when the bills pile up. 3 months before graduation, Lily's mother got sick, missed 2 weeks of work, then was let go. The school sent a letter. Tuition overdue, scholarship terminated, attendance suspended. There was no meeting, no appeal, just silence. One day she had a uniform. The next, she had a name that disappeared from every roster. Lily Harper was erased, except by Sarah. Sarah still texted her class notes, slipped her sheet music, brought her lunch, and one day, quietly, she handed her a folded robe and whispered, "I can't do this alone. If my voice shakes, you sing." Lily nodded. She never intended to step on that stage. She just wanted to keep a promise, but promises have a way of echoing, especially when made by those the world no longer sees. For 3 weeks, Lily Harper became a ghost in her own life. Each morning, while the other seniors debated prom dresses and summer internships, Lily dressed in silence, jeans too short, a t-shirt too thin, and slipped through the back door of Wellington Grove with the delivery staff. She no longer had an ID badge, no uniform, no access to classrooms, but the music room didn't lock until 7:45. She'd sit on the far end of the choir benches, careful not to be seen. She didn't speak. She didn't sing. She just listened. To Sarah, to the harmonies, to what could have been. And when the janitors came, she vanished before they could see her. A silent witness to a world she no longer belonged to. No one knew she was there, except Sarah. Every few days, Sarah would leave a note taped under the third piano key. Verse 2 needs breath support. Still want you there. I don't care what they say. You're not done, Lily, not yet. But Lily felt done. She'd been erased too easily. Her name scrubbed from the school newsletter, her desk emptied, her email account deleted. No one called. No teacher asked why, until one Friday afternoon. Sarah cornered her behind the gym and pushed a black garment bag into her arms, a graduation robe. Lily's size, no tags, no logos, no school seal, just fabric and faith. I'm going to be too nervous to sing, Sarah whispered. But if you're there, and if something goes wrong, yes, promise me you'll help, Lily blinked. Help how? You'll know, Sarah said. If it happens, you'll feel it. She walked away before Lily could answer. That night, Lily held the robe against her chest and sat on the edge of her mattress until morning. It smelled like lavender and dust. She didn't know what she was planning, but she knew what she wasn't planning. To stay silent. Not this time. Not if someone she loved was left alone. The morning of graduation arrived cloudless, golden, and cruel. Cars lined the front loop of Wellington Grove. Luxury sedans, SUVs polished like obsidian, parents in silk, students in caps and gowns. And somewhere behind them all, near the back, the parking lot, Lily Harper sat alone in the janitor's supply truck, the same one her mother used to drive. She wasn't on the guest list. She had no pass, but she knew the loading bay entrance still stuck open if you pressed the top hinge just right. She'd done it 1,000 times, waiting for her mom, waiting for warmth, waiting for someone to say she belonged. Today, she wasn't waiting. She pressed the hinge, slipped inside. The hallway was empty. The ceremony had already begun. Music echoed from the auditorium, the swelling of the school orchestra, the buzz of anticipation. Lily kept to the shadows behind the curtains, her heart thudding in her chest. The gown Sarah gave her was stuffed in her backpack, but she didn't wear it. She didn't want to pretend she was graduating. She just wanted to be close, to be near Sarah, to be ready, just in case. The headmaster gave his speech. The valedictorian was announced. And then, it was time for the solo. Sarah walked to the center of the stage, shaking slightly, holding the mic with both hands. She smiled, nodded to the orchestra. The music started and soft, almost reverent. A delicate piano melody, and then with a snap, it stopped. A sharp pop from the speaker, a cough of static. Then silence. The mic had died. The conductor froze. Sarah looked helplessly at the sound booth. Murmurs rippled across the auditorium like a rising tide. And somewhere in the back, behind the curtain, Lily felt it. That moment Sarah had warned her about. If it happens, you'll feel it. Her hands trembled. Her throat went dry. And yet she stepped forward. She didn't walk onto the stage. She simply parted the curtain halfway and began to sing. No microphone. No spotlight. Just her voice. It was low at first, breathless, like something fragile being unwrapped. But it grew, and with it, the room stilled. Heads turned. Even Sarah froze. Lily didn't look at anyone. Her eyes closed, her hands by her sides. She didn't move, but her voice. It moved through every row, every seat, every corner of that golden auditorium. It cracked in places. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest, and that made it unforgettable. When she finished the first verse, no one clapped. No one could. The room had forgotten how to breathe. And then, from the far side of the stage, a man stepped into view. The principal. Didn't look angry. He looked stunned. He took one step closer, then another, and with the kind of voice that makes everyone sit up straighter, he asked one question. Slow, deliberate, and impossible to ignore. Miss Harper? Lily froze. The principal's voice cut through the silence like glass. Miss Harper? She opened her eyes. For a second, she forgot where she was, or maybe remembered too well. She wasn't in a dream. She was on school property. During a closed ceremony, wearing a dress from Goodwill and shoes with cracked soles, and singing a song meant for someone else. She stepped back behind the curtain, unsure whether to run or explain, as if either would change anything. But the room didn't move. No one laughed. No one scolded. Not yet. Then Sarah did something no one expected. She lowered the broken microphone and started clapping, soft, rhythmic, steady, alone. Then another hand joined, then another. Soon the room swelled with applause. Not polite, not confused. Real, even teachers, even parents. People who hadn't looked Lily in the eye all year now stood to their feet, but the principal raised a hand, and the clapping stopped like a curtain drop. He walked to the edge of the stage. "Lily Harper," he said again, slower this time. "You are not enrolled at this institution. You were formally withdrawn 3 weeks ago. Do you understand?" She nodded once, quiet. "I wasn't trying to interrupt. You trespassed," he added. "This was a closed event." "I know." Her voice barely carried. He looked at her, not with cruelty, not even with disapproval, just bureaucracy. "And, while your performance was moving," he said carefully, "this school has policies, traditions, procedures." Behind him, Sarah was already stepping forward, eyes blazing. "But she belongs here. She earned this stage." The principal turned. "This isn't the place." "She is this place," Sarah shot back. "More than half the students you smiled at today couldn't hit a single note she just sang." The principal didn't reply. He simply looked back at Lily. "This ceremony is for graduates," he said. "For those who've met requirements, completed credits, and fulfilled their financial obligations." Each word felt like a nail. Lily nodded again. "I understand." She took a step back. The room began to shift uncomfortably, unsure whether they'd just witnessed a miracle or a mistake. "I'll go," she whispered. And just like that, she disappeared behind the curtain, not escorted, not forced. She left because she knew the rules, and no matter how much her song moved them, she was still a girl without a name on a list. Lily didn't cry on the way out. She didn't look back at the auditorium, didn't wait for Sarah to follow. She just walked, out the side door, past the dumpsters, through the alley she used to take with her mother after night shifts. Her shoes made no sound, only the distant echo of applause still ringing in her ears. But that wasn't for her. Not really. She'd broken a rule, crossed a line, and even if she hadn't meant to, the truth was this: she didn't belong there. The apartment was dark when she got home. She didn't turn on the lights, just sat by the window, curled her knees to her chest, and stared at the parking lot below. Kids ran through sprinklers. Someone grilled hot dogs 2 floors down. The world spun on. On the floor beside her was the unopened envelope from the school, the one that had come 2 days before graduation. She hadn't needed to read it. She already knew, but that night she opened it anyway. Final notice: your enrollment at Wellington Grove Private has been terminated due to unresolved tuition payments. You are not eligible for graduation. Stamped in red, withdrawn. Lily folded the letter back up and tucked it beneath the leg of her bed to stop it from wobbling. It was the only use it had. The next few weeks passed in a blur. She applied for jobs, not singing jobs, not music, just anything. Laundry clerk, grocery store, bagger, dishwasher at a diner where no one knew her name. She kept her head down, didn't sing, didn't hum, not even in the shower. Music, it seemed, belonged to the world that had expelled her. Sarah texted, called, left voice notes that went unheard. Lily never replied, because what was there to say? Thanks for the robe. Sorry I ruined your song. You were right. I felt it. And it didn't matter. One evening, while folding towels at the laundromat, the radio played a cover of the same song Lily had sung at graduation. She froze mid-fold. The melody was slower, softer. but she knew every word. A customer smiled at her. "That's a pretty one, huh?" Lily nodded, didn't speak because her throat had started to close. Not from tears, from remembering what it felt like to sing from the shadows, to lift a room, and still be asked to leave. That was the part no one talks about. Not the performance, but the silence that follows it. The kind that makes you wonder if your voice ever mattered at all. It started with a text from Sarah. "Turn on the school live stream. Now." Lily almost deleted it. She was in the back room of the laundromat, folding uniforms that smelled like bleach and boredom. She hadn't listened to music in weeks, hadn't watched anything that reminded her of before. But something about Sarah's tone, short, urgent, made her pause. She slipped her phone from her pocket and found the stream. Wellington Grove's YouTube page. Annual Parent Council Meeting. Live. Boring. Except this time. Wasn't. The camera was shaky, angled toward the main stage of the school auditorium. Parents sat in rows, coffee cups, clipboards, designer bags, and in the center was the principal. Lily's breath caught. He stood behind the same podium where he had once asked her to leave, but his expression was different now. Less guarded, less polished, more uncertain. "I'd like to begin this session with a clip," he said. "One that frankly wasn't part of the program." He nodded to someone off screen, and the video began. It was grainy, shot from a side phone, but unmistakable. Lily's voice, raw, clear, rising from behind a curtain, just as it had that day. Parents turned, whispers started. One mother reached for her pearls, but no one interrupted, because there was something in the sound that made people lean forward, not away. The video ended. Silence, and then the principal spoke. "We ask our students to be exceptional," he said. "Why?" Slowly. "To lead, to innovate, to perform. But sometimes the most powerful lessons don't come from those on the list." He looked down at the podium, then back at the crowd. She wasn't invited. She wasn't supposed to be there. And yet, in a moment of failure, she gave us something pure. He took a breath. "And I think we failed her." Murmurs. A shift in the air. One of the board members, a woman in a navy blazer, cleared her throat. "What's her name?" The principal didn't hesitate. "Lily Harper." Back in the laundromat, Lily sat frozen. The dryer buzzed. Someone cursed about socks. Life continued, but inside her something cracked open. The quietest kind of undoing. Because for the first time since she sang, someone had said her name out loud. Not as a problem, not as a disruption, but as proof. Proof that her voice hadn't vanished into silence. It had echoed, it had stayed. It was still singing. 3 days passed. Lily told no one about the live stream. Not her coworkers, not even Sarah. She wasn't sure if it had been real, or just a brief gust of attention before everything went quiet again. And then someone knocked on her door. She opened it slowly, expecting maybe a neighbor. But standing there in a dark gray suit and polished shoes was the principal, Mr. Aldridge. She froze. He removed his hat, the kind of small gesture only sincere people do, and held out a white envelope. "This time," he said gently, "you are on the list." Lily didn't take the envelope right away. She stared at it like it might disappear. "What is it?" she asked quietly. "A letter of recommendation and an offer," he said. "From the Massachusetts Academy of Performing Arts. They saw the clip. The council sent it to them." She blinked. "But I didn't apply." "You didn't have to," he said. "Your voice applied for you." She slowly took the envelope. Inside was a full-ride scholarship, housing, tuition, vocal coaching, a future. Her knees nearly gave out. Mr. Aldridge didn't say anything else. He just nodded once and walked away. But before he reached the stairs, Lily called after him. "Why now?" she asked. "Why me?" He paused, turned. "Because," he said, "the day you sang, everyone finally heard what we've all been pretending not to see. You were never invisible, we just weren't listening." By that weekend, the story had spread beyond the school articles, blog posts, a local news segment titled, "The Girl Who Sang Without a Stage." Even the school's alumni newsletter, which had never once mentioned her, published a full-page spread. Lily Harper, courage in a single note. Sarah came over the next day with balloons, cookies, and a smile that somehow said, "I told you so," without saying a word. They listened to the clip again, together this time. And for the first time, Lily didn't flinch at the sound of her own voice. She listened, really listened, and whispered, "I sounded like I meant it." Sarah grinned. "You did. That's why no one could forget. Some voices are trained, some are born, but some come from silence so deep it teaches the sound how to survive." 1 year later, Wellington Grove looked the same. Same stone columns, same ivy-covered walls, same auditorium with too many chandeliers and too few warm seats. But this time, something was different. Because this time, Lily Harper wasn't sneaking in through the side door. She walked through the front in a tailored navy dress, with her name printed in bold serif font on the official program. Commencement performance. Lily Harper, class of 2024, Massachusetts Academy of Performing Arts. She stood backstage, heart steady. She had sung before, in competitions, in student showcases, but none of those stages felt quite like this one. This one still remembered her. The velvet curtain, the creaky third step. The way the room exhaled right before the lights dimmed. The principal introduced her. But this time, there was no hesitation in his voice. No conditions, no reminders about policy or tuition. Just 6 words. "Please welcome home, Lily Harper." The spotlight bloomed. She stepped forward. Not shyly, not defiantly, just honestly. She stood where Sarah once stood, where she once stood hidden. And then she sang. The first note was soft. Not because she was afraid, but because she knew now. That softness could be strength. The audience leaned in. She didn't sing to impress. She sang to share, to tell the truth of a girl who had once not belonged and now could not be forgotten. Her voice wrapped around the rafters, danced between rows, broke hearts and mended them in the same breath. Behind her, a small string quartet played along, but they never overshadowed her, because this song was hers. A song about losing everything and finding yourself in the silence left behind. When the final note faded, no one moved. It wasn't clapping that came first. It was stillness. That rare kind of stillness that only happens when something sacred has passed through a room. And then, slowly, people rose to their feet. All of them, some with tears, some with awe, but all standing. Because Lily Harper had done what no one else could. She turned silence into something unforgettable. After the crowd filed out, after the flowers were handed and the photos taken, after the curtain dropped and the applause became a memory, Lily stayed behind. Old habit, maybe. Or maybe she just didn't want to leave the stage too quickly this time. Not when she'd finally been invited to it. She sat at the edge, feet dangling above the orchestra pit, barely touching the floor. The auditorium was dim now, lit only by exit signs and leftover sunlight leaking through the stained glass. Windows, the quiet was soft, not empty. It hummed. She didn't notice the footsteps at first. They were slow, steady, familiar. Then she heard the voice. "I was wrong," said Principal Aldridge from behind. Lily turned, surprised. "About what?" He walked down the aisle, stopping, just below the stage. "About you," he said. "About what matters, about what a diploma proves." Lily didn't answer. He smiled gently. "You stayed to sing, even after we asked you to leave. That says more than any test score." There was a pause. Then, "You know," he said, "your mother used to stay after events too, to clean up. She once told me, 'I want my daughter to see the school shine, even if no one sees me do it.'" Lily's throat tightened. "She never needed this stage," he added, "but I'm glad you got it." He started to walk away, then turned one last time. "Next year," he said, We're renaming the auditorium's Student Recognition Award. Lily blinked. Why? So no one forgets what courage sounds like. He nodded. It'll be called the Lily Harper Honor. When he left, Lily didn't move for a long time. She just sat there, breathing, remembering. And when she finally stood to leave, she reached for the stage curtain, the same one she had once stood behind in fear, and smoothed out a wrinkle with the flat of her palm. It was her way of saying thank you and goodbye. Outside, the sky was turning pink. Sarah waited on the steps holding 2 ice cream cones. Lily walked toward her, and for the first time in a long time, she wasn't carrying silence. She was carrying a song. One she didn't have to sing anymore for it to be heard, because it was already in them, all of them, and maybe that was the point all along. If this story touched you, let us know in the comments. We read every word. And if you believe in second chances, don't forget to subscribe.